starting a new series called Writing for Big Band. And this is the first in a series of 22 short videos I'll be making. For more in-depth instruction, I've written 2 books, Creative Jazz Composing and Arranging, and Creative Jazz Composing and Arranging, Volume 2, Writing for Singers. The big band is the American equivalent of the European symphony orchestra. It evolved from New Orleans dance music, small groups, 3-man front line of clarinet, trumpet, trombone, and rhythm section. It was the standard, although there were many permutations of that. But it grew little by little, adding an instrument at a time. The music was written to accompany social dancers. People would go to a nightclub and want to dance, and there'd be a band that would play this music, and the bands got larger and larger, and the clubs got larger and larger until they grew in size. Like the Savoy Ballroom in Harlem was an entire city block, and there'd be 2 bandstands, one on each side, that would alternate one set apiece. But they grew little by little, and they kept up with the new dances. The dancers would create music to go with the new music, and the new music would be created to accompany the dancers. So it was a symbiotic relationship. Then along came Bebop in the 40s, and that music stopped being dance music. Although it has a dance impulse to it, it's not specifically written for dancers. And the original bebop big bands didn't really address bebop. They were really swing charts. They were really swing arrangements that were trying to address bebop. And it wasn't until Gil Evans came along in the late 40s, writing for Claude Thornhill, that there was a real bebop aesthetic in big band writing. So I encourage you to check out his charts, Anthropology and Robin's Nest, 2 very good examples. And then there's Birth of the Cool, which is not actually a big band, but it's a medium-sized band. I once asked Bob Brookmeyer what his aesthetic was. What do you want your music to sound like? He said, I just want it to sound like Gil. And when I was working for Gil, I asked him the same question. What do you want your music to sound like? He said, I just want it to sound like Billy Strayhorn. Now, if I asked Billy Strayhorn that, he would have said, well, I'm writing for Duke Ellington's band. I want it to be like that. Although all these people, as much as they admired the guy that came before them, they all had their own personality and didn't forsake that. Originality is very important in this music. If you want to write for big band, it behooves you to know the masterpieces of the past, not just the pop kitsch like In the Mood, Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy, and things like that, that you may get hired to do, or even contemporary music. That's not enough. I think in any art form you want to know as much as you can about the masterpieces of the past, because they will set a very high bar for you. You don't really want to copy what they do and steal from them so much as you want to be inspired by them. And also just learn the language. So the major arrangers, as I see it: Jelly Roll, Morton, Don Redman, Fletcher Henderson, Duke Ellington, Cy Oliver, and Gil Evans. I think they've been the most influential. They were very popular in their day, and writers that followed them were very influenced by them. The second tier of writers that I think you should know also are Thad Jones, Bob Brookmeyer, Neil Hefti, Al Cohn, Ernie Wilkins, Frank Foster, Johnny Mandel, Quincy Jones, and Eddie Durham. I seem to have stopped somewhere around 1950. I mean, there are other people too that wrote some very good music but didn't write enough. Somebody like Jerry Mulligan, he just didn't write enough, but everything he wrote was really great. So there are people like that too. The more you can study these people's work, and the more that options you'll have in your music. The goal is to create the future while honoring the past. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. What you want to do is stand on the shoulders of giants. Now, Ellington stands apart from all these other jazz composers and arrangers as far and away the most influential and greatest in terms of depth and breadth, and just influence. He created the language that everybody speaks. He had a very long career, 50 years, and all along the way, he was both the most old-fashioned and the most avant-garde. Depends who you asked. I hope that you'll join our Ellington Effect monthly Zoom workshops, where I analyze one Duke chart, note by note, for 2 hours to understand how he develops his material to tell each story. I look forward to seeing you there, if you like, or on our next installment of Writing for Big Band. Thank you.